A very good evening to all my dear students. Welcome to today's session for chapter number 9, which is Audit of Items of Financial Statements. So I can see that many of you have already joined. Kiran, Diksha, Komal, Bhumika. A very good evening to all my dear students and others also. Please quickly join because today we have a lot of very important topics to cover up. And I hope students that the homework that was given to you in the last session, whereby you were supposed to go through the module once or twice, have been done. And in the last session also I've told you that the last topic that we covered was relating to PPE, right? So I've asked you to go through that topic in detail so that today when we will be starting with intangible assets, the verification relating to intangible assets, I told you that is almost on the same line as we have done for PPE. Okay? So for all those students who have gone through the module once or twice with respect to this topic, they are going to find the intangible assets verification topic very easy, right? For others who haven't gone through the module, again, I'd like to request you all to please go through the modules till where we cover in the session before coming for the next session. That is definitely going to help you in understanding and learning the concepts, right? So Manisha, Kanchan, Rajiv Kumar, Guduri, Darshan, Dikshita, these students have also joined. So please also reply, have you gone through the module till page number 9? I think I've asked you to read till page number 9.54, right? So students, in the last session with respect to property, plant and equipment, we have done about the verification of property, plant and equipment, various assertions like existence. Then we did various procedures with respect to checking the completeness assertion with respect to PPE. Then with respect to additions also, we have done the various audit procedures, deletions. And I told you that addition, deletion, they form a straightforward question for 3 months. Evaluation, rights, we have done. Disclosure also we have covered from the module. We were doing the notes part, which are what the additional regulatory information as is required by the amended Schedule 3 effective from April 2021, right? So there we have covered 2 notes, one relating to the situation whereby the title deeds of immovable property are not held in the name of the company, then what are the disclosure requirements that the company is required to give, right? And the second is with respect to the where the assets are revalued, whether they are revalued by a registered valuer. So the company is itself required to disclose that in their notes to accounts, right? So I hope till there it is clear, and if any one of you is having any doubt, please let me know. We will definitely discuss that. So Dikshita is saying, yes, ma'am, I have read. And Himanshu is also saying that he has gone through the modules. Others also, please, from next time onwards, your answer should be in positive only, that yes, we have also gone through the module, right? So the next note that is left, that is the last note with respect to the property, plant and equipment that is left is what? Capital work in progress, right? So now here there is a disclosure requirement on the company itself as required by amended Schedule 3 to disclose as an additional regulatory information with respect to PPE, which are what? Capital work in progress, right? So students, as I've told you in the earlier sessions also, that these information are really very, very important for the shareholders to take the informed decision. Now see, if any funds are there which are being used by the company for construction of any PPE, right? And that PPE is still lying under capital work in progress. So just try to imagine that all the funds are blocked. The revenue from that PPE is not yet generated. And if the funds that have been used in the construction of that PPE are some funds taken on loan, so the company has to pay the interest there, though the revenue From that, PPE has not yet started. Why? Because that is still under as capital work in progress. Hana? So this may lead to a situation of what? Liquidity crunch. Hana? So the shareholders must be informed as to where the funds of the company are being blocked. So that is why this is a disclosure requirement. And I'm repeating it again. These disclosures are to be given by the company itself, right? And when we will be doing CARU 2020 in chapter number 10, you will see that with respect to the various disclosure requirements that are given by amended schedule 3, there under CARU 2020, the auditor is required to give additional reporting, right? So here the company is required to give the disclosure in the notes to accounts as additional regulatory information. And under CARU 2020, with respect to various points, you will see that there will be additional reporting requirement for the auditor. Okay. So Manisha, I'll take up your doubt once I finish this PP wala topic, and your doubt will be repeated. This topic will come when we will be doing intangible assets to remind me at that point. Okay. So the logic, I hope you all have understood why such additional regulatory information is to be given by the company. So see, if let's say our client is A Limited, it has started building, let's say, a factory, Hana, and it is still been classified as capital work in progress. So just see that the funds are blocked here now. The revenue has not started generated from this asset because this is not categorized as PP. It is still under capital work in progress, Hana. But all the expenses relating to this building, this factory, let's say if a loan has been taken, so that the company is incurring. So that is why such information is to be given by the management in itself. And what is that information? So it is divided into two parts, point number A and point number B. And this is what relating to PPE, property, plant and equipment, all the assets that we have discussed in the last session. So for capital work in progress, following aging schedule shall be given. So I have always told you that wherever we talk about the aging schedule or the aging split, for example, we have discussed it when we were doing trade receivables or loans, Hana. And we will be doing it when we will be doing trade payables. So aging schedule is what? How old a particular item is. Hana? So same way, for capital work in progress, aging schedule shall be given as under. So amount in capital work in progress for a period of less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years. And what is the total amount? This bifurcation is to be given with respect to projects in progress. That is where any project is there and the work is still going on there, right? And the second, it's projects which are temporarily suspended. See, this is a very risky situation that the funds of the company are blocked in a project which is temporarily suspended. Let's say, for example, there is a change in some government policy. Or let's say due to pandemic, some project was suspended, and the expenditure that has been incurred, that has been classified as what? CWIP, and it is for more than 3 years. Then now this is a risky situation that the funds of the company are blocked. The income has not started generating from this project, though the expenditure has been incurred, and the interest, if any, if let's say that is the borrowed funds, then the company has to pay that interest. So that is why such information is to be disclosed by the company itself. So here it is to be given as to for how long any project which is in progress, or whether it is temporarily suspended, for how long it has been shown as civic capital work in progress. Is it for less than 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 years, or more than 3 years? And this total amount, it should tally with the CWIP amount that is coming in the balance sheet. That is but obvious. Okay? So this was the A point. Second point says that where for capital work in progress whose completion is overdue, let's say with respect to a particular factory that was supposed to be completed within, let's say, 3 years. Okay? Now it is already 3.5 years till the time it started. So it is what overdue now. Okay? Or has exceeded its costs. Or we can take another example. For example, 3 CR was the amount which was allocated towards this factory. However, the cost has already exceeded 3 CR, that is, it is 3.5 CR. Hana? So now let us just keep this example in your mind, and now let us read this point. For capital work in progress whose completion is overdue, that is the time which was stipulated for the completion of the project that has been exceeded, or has exceeded its cost compared to its original plan. So what was originally planned? 3 years में plan किया था ना company ने that within 3 years it would have been completed. However, it is already 3.5 years. Then what is the schedule that is to be given to be completed in? So here the company has to give that what is the expected time to complete that project. Project 1, project 2, what is the expected time to complete the project? Is it less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, or more than 3 years? Okay. So basically, in order to look at the liquidity risk with respect to a company, the shareholders will be able to take the informed decisions if such information is given by the company itself. So this was with respect to the PPE, which is not to be basically an item of financial statement, which is still a capital work in progress, and divided into two parts. The first part says that for how long it has been classified as CWIP, less than 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 years, or more than 3 years, divided as projects in progress or projects temporarily suspended. And the second category says that if any project, the cost of which has overdue has exceeded the original cost, or where the time limit has exceeded the original plan, then what is the expected time limit within which the company expected to be completed? Is it less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, or more than 3 years? And details of projects where activities has been suspended. Again, like here also for suspended project, a separate disclosure was required. So details of project where activity has been suspended shall be given separately. So this is the requirement of what? Schedule 3, one of the additional regulatory information that is to be given by the company. Okay. So is it clear? So with this, we have finished our discussion with respect to the verification of all the assertions, including the disclosure requirements, including the notes, with respect to property, plant and equipment. So quickly send in your replies whether you have understood it. Then we'll proceed with intangible assets, and I'm repeating it again. For all those who have done their homework, who have gone through the module with respect to PP, for them this topic intangible assets is just a cakewalk. Very simple, they'll find it. Others also, I'll request you to please from the next session onwards, read the module and then come for the session. Let me just have a look at your queries, then we'll start with the next topic, which is intangible assets. So Jyoti, Akshay, Shubham, Darshan, they are saying, ma'am, it is clear. So see students, the information that is required to be given in point number A, the information that has been asked is for how long, like it is asking for the past, for how long any project has been suspended or it is considered as CWIP, है ना, not suspended but it has been considered as CWIP, कितना पुराना time past, है ना. B point में if it has become overdue or it has exceeded the original cost, now what is the expected time to be completed? So it is talking about the future. ठीक है. So Sayyed Yasir, is your doubt clear? Is your doubt clear? In fact, Dikshita also, I hope, I think you are also asking the same point. So basically, point number A is about how much time has been any item has been classified as CWIP for how long past, है ना? And this is saying that कितना expected है to get it completed. That is about the future. So Bhumika, it basically says that whatever information you are going to give here na, in the schedule, the company is required to give in the schedule, that should obviously tally with what is coming in the balance sheet. Na? Okay. So Sayyed is saying, ma'am, it is clear. No, Diksha, uh, the time that is to be mentioned here is what time period the company is expecting that within this time period now we are going to complete a particular project. That is now in how much time this particular item is will be categorized as PP. ठीक है? It will move from CWIP to PPE. ठीक है? Whose doubt was it? Diksha, is it clear? So I can see Sayyed is saying, ma'am, doubt is clear. Dikshita is also saying, Diksha is also saying. And who's, हाँ, चलो ठीक है. So students, I hope we are good to go now and we can start with the next topic. Yet again, interesting topic, which is what? Intangible assets. Quickly tell me, then I'll proceed with intangible assets. Now, as I always ask you to now start visualizing yourself in a situation. So now I'm giving you a situation for this topic. You are conducting the audit of A Limited. Okay? And this company is developing certain softwares. Okay? Now you have to verify the various assertions. Okay? So particular assertion, abhi I'm not talking about any particular assertion. About a software, you have to verify all the assertions. Tell me what all procedures come to your mind and be smart learners. I have told you that this is almost the same as PPE. Obviously, there will be some change. Why? Because there is a difference between PPE and intangible assets. What is the difference that we will discuss? But first of all, just try to visualize yourself in a situation where you are actually verifying the various assertions relating to the software as an asset of a company. Okay? Quickly tell me what all documents come to your mind. है ना कि ये सॉफ्टवेयर एक्चुअली एग्जिस्ट करता है, ये सॉफ्टवेयर का वैल्यूएशन ठीक है, ये सॉफ्टवेयर जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन इज कमिंग इन द बैलेंस शीट वेदर इट इज कंप्लीट. क्विकली टेल मी. One of the students in the last session was saying that, ma'am, your techniques whereby you ask us to imagine as to we are actually conducting the audit of so and so company, so and so assertion. This is actually helping her out in understanding this chapter. So students, I am asking you to use your brains and tell me the various documents, the procedures. This exercise is going to help you when you will be giving your exams. है ना? वहाँ पर it might be possible that you get any of the item of financial statement which we have not discussed, or maybe you don't remember at that time. So at that time, if you have the habit of visualizing yourself कि अच्छा अगर ये वाला asset or liability आता है, so these are the documents that I'm going to verify. So that is definitely going to help you in writing the correct answer. ठीक है? So I can see Shubham is saying, ma'am, patent documents. Software issue date, Shubham is saying. Then Darshing is saying, ma'am, operating manual. Bhumika is saying last year balance sheet. Guduri, yes, copyright. Amortization calculation, the way PPE with respect to PPE valuation, we have studied about depreciation. Hana. Here, these intangible assets, these are what? Amortized, right? So the term used is what? Amortized. And tell me the relevant AS number also. So Manisha, tell me the relevant AS also. So, chalo. Thank you, Sayyid Yasir, for such a motivating message. So, Tell me, what are intangible assets? Now, I've seen your answers. They are almost correct. Now, let us just have a look of what is mentioned in your module and what are the specific documents or audit procedures with respect to the various assertions. Okay? Tell me, what do you understand by the term intangible assets? And AS10, Kiran, it is relating to PPE, which we have done in the last session. So, Guduru, you are correct. AS26 is with respect to intangible assets. Now, tell me, what are intangible assets? So, students, the definition that is given in AS26, it says that intangible assets are identifiable, non-monetary assets without the physical substance. So these three things should be there. Identifiable, you should be able to identify an asset as an intangible asset, that it should be distinguishable from a goodwill. Okay? Non-monetary assets. Example of monetary assets can be what? Your cash and cash equivalents, your debtors, investments. So non-monetary, these are what? Monetary. So this is what? Non-monetary. For example, your brand, trademark, computer software. This is software. Okay? Your license. So identifiable non-monetary asset without the physical substance. So intangible assets do not have a physical substance. You cannot as such touch them or see them. Okay? Held for use in the production or supply of goods or services. Let's say, for example, any software is being used in production of a computer for rental to others. Any design or software again is been given for rent on rent to others, or can be used for what? Administrative purpose within the organization. So an intangible asset is what? Let us have a look at your module. So it is an identifiable non-monetary asset without physical substance, held for use in the production or supply of goods or services, for rental to others, or for administrative purposes. Example, your trademark, your loyalty, your customer list, licenses, trademarks, then your see, various examples are given: licenses, IP, your intellectual property, market knowledge, trademarks. All these are what? Your intangible assets. Okay? So now the next topic is with respect to various assertions with respect to your intangible assets, and the relevant AS is what? AS26. Now with respect to existence. So now you will see that the verification with respect to existence assertion is almost the same, but with a little difference. Why? Because with respect to PPE, they have what? Physical substance. You can see them, you can touch them, building, your plant and machinery. So there, the first thing that comes to our mind when we discuss about the existence assertion of PPE, abhi I'm discussing about PPE. So the first thing that comes is what? Physical verification using the eyes. Understanding the entity's plan to conduct the physical verification of the PPE. But here, since the intangible assets do not have a physical substance, you cannot as such see them, you cannot as such physically verify them, then quickly tell me how will you verify the existence? And the answer to this question is hidden here only in this definition. Held for use in the production or supply of goods or services, for rental to others, or for administrative purposes. Now tell me. Quickly, I'll wait for 10 or 20 seconds, then I'll start. Quickly send in your reply. Darshan, you are absolutely correct that these assets do not have physical existence. Manisha is also saying that ma'am, the assets do not have physical existence. Bhumika is saying assets which we can't touch. ठीक है, तो अब इसके existence कैसे check करेंगे? See, the definition says that these are the assets which are held for production or supply of goods or services. So where a software is being used in the production of a computer, which is then being sold by the company, So auditor can always see the sale of such computers whereby such software has been used. Is it clear? Okay. So let us just have a look at this from your module. Students, I'll be taking you through the points which are different from PPE in a slow speed, and we'll be discussing that in detail. The topics which are similar to PPE, will quickly go through those topics. Okay. So since an intangible asset is an identifiable non-monetary assets without physical substance, for establishing the existence of such assets, the auditor should verify whether such intangible asset is in active use in the production or supply of goods or services for rental to others or for administrative purposes. So for the three things whereby intangibles can be used, intangible assets. So auditor can verify by performing the various audit procedures in order to see that whether such intangible assets, for example, the software, is in active use. Is it actually been used there? For example, for verifying the existence of software, the auditor should verify whether such software is in active use by the entity, or for the purpose, and for this purpose, the auditor should verify the sale of the related services or goods during the period under audit in which such software has been used. So this example is been given here. So if the auditor needs to verify the existence of this software which has been used in production of a computer, so whether how can auditor verify whether that software is in active use? He'll see the documents in order to see the sales with respect to the computers. Same way, the next example says that for verifying the existence of design drawing, the auditor should verify the production data to establish if such product for which design drawings were purchased are been produced and sold by the entity. So if the entity has purchased certain design or drawing and that has been further used in the production of any product, so auditor can always verify the sales with respect to such product, whether in order to see whether such designs which were purchased have actually been in active use with respect to that sale of that product. Okay. Okay. Further, as we have done with respect to PPE, that if any of the intangible asset is not in active use, so that intangible asset should be deleted. Yes, the deletion can take place only after the approval by the appropriate authority, the entity's management, and amortization charge should cease to exist after the date of deletion. Obviously, if the asset has been deleted from the block of the assets, then the amortization charge will not be there with respect to that asset. This is the same point as we have done for PP. So I'll be marking it as S. Okay? Wherever same point will come as PP, I'll be marking it as S. And any point which is different, we will be discussing that in detail. So be with me. Okay? We will be doing this topic from the module. Now with respect to additions, we have seen that auditor can always obtain what? The schedule of the movement of intangible assets, like what is the opening, then the additions, the deletions, and the closing. Opening balance can be tallied from the last year financial statements. Closing can be tallied from the balance, that is the schedule balance that is coming in the schedule, and the balance sheet item can always be tallied. Auditor will check the arithmetical accuracy. So exactly the same as we did for PP. Then with respect to all the additions, auditor will obtain a list of all the additions that have been made in the intangible assets. Okay? Now, auditor needs to verify as to whether all such additions, they meets the criteria for recognition as intangible assets in terms of AS 26. And students, quickly tell me whether the research cost, that is any cost that has been incurred in the research phase, whether that need to be added to the cost or that will be charged to the P&L. Quickly send in your replies. Quickly send in your replies, and I always tell you, don't cram. Just if you are aware about the concept, why something is written, I'm sure that you are able to learn it. without much efforts. Hana? Logic should be clear. Tell me, quickly send in your replies. So students, see, the expense that has been incurred at the research phase, that will be charged to the P&L. Why? Because at the research phase, as such, the entity cannot demonstrate that an intangible asset exists. अभी तो research चल रहा है ना, so अभी entity cannot demonstrate that intangible asset is there, है ना? So it will be charged to the P&L. It will not be added to the cost. So it says that auditor needs to ensure that no cost related to research or the research phase of an internal project gets recognized as an intangible assets. Okay? Because abhi the company cannot demonstrate whether the future benefits will flow from this intangible asset or not, है because it is in research phase only. So okay, is it clear? Then the way with respect to PPE, we were checking what purchase invoices. Here you will be checking what certificate, if any software is there, Hana, or any of the report. And yes, any expense voucher that will also be checked. Okay? So this is something different with respect to additions. Then approval by the appropriate entities personnel. This is also same. See, this is okay. Now, again, when any of the intangible asset has been purchased, so it should not happen that the company is purchasing it from any related party all the time, Hana, or from a particular party only all the time. There should be proper internal process or procedures like inviting competitive petition or proper tender, Hana. Auditor will check that this is exactly the same as we have discussed with PP. So I'm not repeating it here. And deletion. So there was a doubt of, I don't remember the name, I think Bhumika, with respect to discard note. Hana, when any PP is been sold, is been deleted, Hana. So whoever was the students, your doubt will be clear here. So it says that when any of the intangible asset has been deleted, so first of all, the auditor needs to understand what is the reason and rationale why the management is doing so. It might be possible now that, for example, with respect to a software, it is outdated. Now it needs to be updated. So obtain a management approval and disposal note. Why you are deleting it. So there the word used with respect to PP is discard note. So what basically it means that why a particular asset has been deleted. So on the discard note, approval will be mentioned. The reason will be mentioned, Hana. So approval, authoring disposal of the assets from its active use. So the auditor need to consider that note whereby it will be mentioned. It will be approved by the appropriate authority. Okay? Further, the way we have done for PP, that intangible assets, whenever it has been deleted, so it will be the amount should be accurately calculated, like the original cost less the accumulated amortization up to the date of disposal, and the resultant gain or loss. This should be appropriately calculated, and after the intangible asset has been deleted, there will be no amortization charge. So exactly the same. Quickly tell me. Okay, is it exactly the same now, Hana? Again, with respect to valuation, quickly tell me what comes to your mind when we discuss about valuation. So I'll not show you the answer. Valuation ke liye, what you are going to check. So you are in a situation whereby A Limited is there, which is having intangible assets of software, and you are verifying the valuation assertion. So what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Quickly, students, I need answers. So Shubham is saying, ma'am, it is exactly the same as we have done for PP. And students, that was the reason why I did the PP with you in detail. Hana? And why I'm not doing the various topics of intangible assets in detail here again, because we have already covered them. Hana? So Darshan is absolutely correct. Valuation में हम क्या देखेंगे? Amortization. The way we checked the depreciation with respect to PP. Here we are concerned about what the amortization charge and also what the impairment. What is impairment? Why we do that? What is the accounting standard? We have done it in the last session in quite detail when we're doing PPE. Okay. So again, this paragraph says that what is amortization. So you all are aware. Okay. So amortization is to be charged on intangible assets. Appropriate method which should reflect the pattern in which assets future economic benefits are expected to be consumed. Okay. Auditor should also verify whether management has done any impairment assessment in terms of AS 28. Okay. So exactly the same as we did for PPE. Okay. Now with respect to rights and obligations, there with respect to PPE, we used to check what? Plant and machinery या furniture fixtures के केस में purchase invoices, land and building के केस में title deed. Here purchase invoices in case the software has been purchased or drawings designs have been purchased or license have been purchased. If any software has been the company has made it internally within the organization, then the various expense vouchers है ना. So it says that the auditor, while performing testing of addition, should also verify all expense invoices, purchase contracts are in the name of the entity that entitles legal deed of the ownership of the entity. Okay, simple है ना, exactly same है ना, and you all have answered it correctly. Amortization charge with respect to valuation, Diksha, Shubham, Guduri, Dikshita, Bhumika, and Rajiv Kumar. Absolutely correct. Okay. So with this, we have completed the rights and obligations. That is basically the rights. Obligation term is used with respect to liabilities. Now with respect to disclosure requirements. So this will be doing as ensure that the following disclosures as required under Schedule 3 Part 1 to the Companies Act 2013 have been made under the heading intangible assets. Okay. So classification shall be given as goodwill, brands or trademark, computer software. So whatever is the applicable head with respect to the company that will come. Must heads or publishing title. What are must heads? So these are basically the title of a newspaper or a magazine. है ना, जो उसका title है उसको भी तो purchase करते हैं ना. So mastheads or publishing titles, mining rights, copyrights, patents, intellectual property right, recipe, formulae design, your licenses, franchisee and others. Point number second, point number third, exactly same as we did for your PPE. That is, let us have a look. A reconciliation of gross and net carrying amounts of each class of assets at the beginning and at the end of the reporting period, showing addition, deletion, acquisition through business combinations, changes on account of revaluation. And now you all know that revaluation thing is to be shown if the change is 10% or more, be it upward or downwards, in the aggregate of the net carrying value of each class of intangible assets and other adjustments. And how this opening closing is to be shown. Now it says that opening balance of gross carrying amount, addition, disposal, impairment, other adjustments. For each class of intangible assets, amortization, opening amortization, charge for the year, deduction or other adjustment, closing. And with respect to each class of intangible assets, again, opening, accumulated impairment losses during the year, reversals, or the closing accumulated impairment losses, right? And this third point, it relates to what? Whereby any of the asset has been written off on account of, let's say, reduction of capital, hana, or revaluation has been done whereby it has been added. So every balance sheet subsequent to that revaluation which show the changed amount, increased or decreased amount. Further, in the notes, the company has to show the amount and the date of such reduction or increase for the first 5 years subsequent to the date of such reduction or increase. And this is also exactly the same as we did for your PPE. Okay? So with this, we have done the disclosure requirement. So students, I have not done this in detail. Why? Because we have had a good discussion with respect to such disclosure when we were discussing PP. In case you still have any doubt, you can always send in your queries. I'll definitely take that up. Okay? So now the last one point relating to intangible assets is intangible assets under development, which is exactly the same, the note that we have done with respect to PPE today. ठीक है, and this is also one of the additional regulatory information that the company is required to give in as per the amended schedule 3. ठीक है, so for intangible assets under development the following aging schedule, है ना, aging आप किसके लिए देते हो, जो हो चुका है पास्ट में, है ना, तभी तो उसकी एज बताओगे ना. So intangible assets under development aging schedule. So projects in progress, projects temporarily suspended, and whatever total will come, it shall tally with the amount of CWIP, amount of intangible assets under CWIP in the balance sheet. So less than 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to year, or more than 3 years. ठीक है. Same way, if any completion with respect to intangible assets under development is overdue or has exceeded its cost compared to the original plan, following intangible assets completion schedule shall be given. वहां क्या था, एजिंग शेड्यूल. तो एज तो आप अब बताते हो ना कि आई एम इतना ईयर्स ओल्ड, जो ऑलरेडी हो चुका होता है. दिस इज व्हाट कंप्लीशन शेड्यूल, दैट इज टू बी कंप्लीटेड इन लेस देन 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years for all the projects, and for the projects suspended separately also this information will be disclosed by the company, right? So with this we have covered another important topic, that is verification of intangible assets, which is exactly the same as we have done for PPE, है ना. So before starting the next topic, let me just tell you that with respect to intangible assets, the only point that is different from what we did for PPE is this starting point. And why I'm telling you, because I want you all to be smart learners, है ना. Don't waste your energy or time in, you know, relearning the concepts that you must have already learned by this topic, है ना. So this is a different topic. Why? Because PPE and intangible asset में there is a major difference of what physical substance. So here physical verification. अच्छा, for all those who were saying कि मैम जनरल आंसर्स, अब यहाँ पर अगर आप फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन लिख दोगे तो दैट वोंट फेच यू एनी मार्क, है ना. दैट इज एब्सोल्युटली नॉट करेक्ट, है ना. So here what is the keyword? The keyword is whether that intangible asset is in active use, है ना. So pick up the keywords, be smart learners, है ना. So this is the point which is different, and this point relating to research. Apart from this, everything is exactly the same. Be smart learners. And before coming for the next session, again, please go through this intangible assets का verification. It will be done then and there only, है ना. बहुत time बाद करोगे, then you will have to spend a lot of time in remembering as to what was our discussion. ठीक है. So I hope it is clear. So for all those who are asking me to repeat the topics that we have discussed in detail in the last session, see, I cannot repeat each and every topic, है ना. So at the end of the session, if time will permit, Guduri, I'll definitely discuss your query. ठीक है. I'll definitely discuss it, and if there is no time in the next session, I'll discuss. Otherwise, you can refer to the last session also, because there we have discussed it in detail. ठीक है. Now we are discussing trade payables, which is page number 9.62. And again here, the way PPE is PPE, the verification of PPE and intangible asset is same with certain changes. Same with the verification with respect to trade receivables and trade payables will be same, है ना. वहां पर भी आपने एक्सटर्नल कंफर्मेशन लिया था, यहाँ पर भी एक्सटर्नल कंफर्मेशन लोगे. वहां पर भी वैल्यूएशन में you were considering the allowance, the provision, है ना. यहाँ पर भी राइट ऑफ वहां पर अप्रूव्ड अथॉरिटी करता है ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स का, यहाँ पर राइट बैक, दैट इज इफ इट इज नॉट पेएबल, है ना. So almost same होगा. We will quickly go through that. Verification with respect to other current liabilities, that we will discuss in detail. ठीक है. I hope it is clear. Shall we proceed with this next topic on page number 9.62, paragraph number 3.9, that is trade payables and other current liabilities. Quickly send in your replies. So trade payables and other current liabilities. Give me a few examples of other current liabilities. Give me few examples. Quickly. Quickly send in your replies. Shubham, Guduri, Bhumika are saying ma'am it is clear. Let's go. चलो बताओ other current liabilities. So income tax payable ठीक है. Who is saying Kanchan? ठीक है. Short term loans ठीक है. और बताओ. Expenses payable ठीक है. है ना? So see, we have done a topic of borrowings, which are what the borrowed funds, है ना? Money is made available from external sources. Remember, that was also one of the liabilities. Trade payables is what? Your creditors. Again, one of the liabilities. ठीक है? Now tell me the verification with respect to trade payables. As an auditor, before deciding the nature, timing, extent of my audit procedures or substantive testing with respect to creditors, I will, like the auditor will verify dash, yeah, internal control with respect to dash, internal control, or he'll perform test of control with respect to, quickly send in your replies. Whether the internal controls are in place with respect to purchases. ठीक है. The way we have seen that trade receivables में पहले auditor needs to obtain a comfort with respect to internal control of what sales, है ना? तो जैसे सेल से ट्रेड रिसीवेबल अमाउंट आता है क्रेडिट सेल से, सेम वे क्रेडिट परचेजेस से ही तो आपके क्रेडिटर्स आते हैं ना. सो ऑडिटर नीड टू कंसीडर दैट. ठीक है. नाउ अदर करंट लायबिलिटीज में what all will be included? So your short term debts, है ना? और many of you were saying मैम डिविडेंड पेबल. ठीक है. And what else can be here? Your statutory dues, है ना? So current liability से mean which is to be paid within the next 12 months. ठीक है. Which is to be paid within the next 12 months. ठीक है. Absolutely correct. ठीक है. Now let us go through the module only with respect to the verification of trade payables. So how is this topic given? First of all, this is with respect to what? Trade payables. This entire thing, है ना? And in fact, you will see that expense related we have, but you will see that it is almost on the same lines as we have done for trade receivables. ठीक है. Then from this page number 9.66, you will see that specifically with respect to expenses verification, the topic starts. Okay. So let us first quickly go through the verification with respect to trade payables creditors, because this is almost the same. So before starting with this topic, I'm telling you that my speed will be a little fast. Why? Because this is just a repetition of what we have done with respect to trade receivable. Okay. जहां पर I need to explain, जहां पर we need to have a good discussion, we will have that. ठीक है. So again, with respect to the existence of what? Creditors. So just try to imagine yourself in a situation whereby you are conducting the audit of A Limited. You were verifying the liability side and you saw that there were creditors amounting to, let's say, rupees 50 lakhs. है ना? You need to establish the existence assertion with respect to such trade creditors or payables. So first of all, auditor will ensure that the controls are in place with respect to the purchase. That is, it is not recorded more than once. है ना? अगर more than once है तो existence तो establish हुआ ही नहीं ना, because वो तो system error है, whether due to fraud or error. ठीक है. Then auditor can always obtain what? Aging report, है ना. Aging report, I hope this concept is clear now. Age आप कैसे बता दोगे कितना टाइम हो चुका है ना, तो कितना पुराना है कुछ भी. ठीक है. And general entries, see it basically says that with respect to the large balances that are appearing in the liability side, creditors obtain the aging report, है ना. Tally the balances with whatever are appearing in the general ledger, and in case of any differences discuss with the management, investigate the reconciling items. ठीक है. And in case of any large amounts examine the general entries also. ठीक है. Direct confirmation procedure, just a minute. Direct confirmation procedure, we will as such not repeat this topic here, but I just want one correct answer from all of you. Tell me the essay, the correct essay number. Please, I want the correct essay number. Don't write incorrect. Don't use hit and trial here, है ना? Send in the correct answer. So see, this is the same as we have done for what? Your trade receivable. This point is also same. And this entire is also same. ठीक है. Students, I told you that I don't want the incorrect answer. So the correct answer is what? SA 505. है ना? So for all those who are not able to give the correct answer, please start studying. है ना? Others also, जिसने correct answer भी दिया, they also keep on studying. But wrong answers, so please start studying. है ना? Direct confirmation procedure with the consent of the management. So I'll just tell you the keywords here. First of all, it needs to be obtained with respect to all significant account balances as the period end. So let's say 50 lakhs का amount था, 15 lakhs का, there was creditors, है ना? Now out of that, you know that 5 creditors are the major creditors and the amount range from what? 10 lakhs, let's say. 10 lakhs to 12 lakhs. ठीक है. तो इनको तो सी नहीं 10 lakhs. So let's increase this amount to 150. ठीक है. So 10 lakhs to 12 lakhs है. So send it to all the significant account balances as at the period end. This next line says that even if at the closing, at the year end, the balance may not be big enough, है ना? But let's say during the year, the purchases that have been made were a huge amount, है ना? So during the year, purchases were done and the payment was made. Check the obtain the external confirmation with respect to those account balances also. Simple है, ठीक है? Again, with the consent of the entity लेना है. There may be situations where management refuses, so ask them for valid grounds है या नहीं. And the confirmation may be as at the date of the balance sheet or any other date which should be reasonably close to the balance sheet date in consultation with the company. Same आ रहा है ना, देखो, है ना? तो अब ये मत बोलना कि मैम आपका speed fast है. Speed should be fast because this is what just a revision of what you have done so far with respect to trade receivables. Form of requesting can be what? With the balance, whereby the auditor is mentioning whether the balance is this or not. And without balance, whereby the balance, the auditor is saying what is the balance. Obviously, the second one is preferable, है ना? So this is also the same, है ना? Are you are getting na? Where am I writing S? I'm writing S for what? Same. Same as what? Here it is same as trade receivables ka verification. Why? Because I want all of you to be smart learners, है ना? Then it says that unless and until the ledger, final ledger is ledger with respect to trade payables is been received by the auditor, he should not reveal what will be his method of selecting. What will be his method of selecting the list of the trade payables, ठीक है? And when the confirmation request letters are prepared, auditor should have a strict control with respect to the correctness, dispatch of the request letters, है ना? And all the confirmations, the undelivered letters should come to him directly. ठीक है? ये सब पढ़ा है ना? Same है ना? ठीक है? Any discrepancy है, the same should be what? auditor should perform what? Additional testing. He should discuss with the management, and if no reply is received, वहां पर आप क्या चेक करते थे ट्रेड रिसीवेबल में? Any subsequent receipt, है ना? No reply is received, it might be possible that next year, or let me just give you an example of trade payables only. So if no reply is received, so auditor will check what subsequent payments. For example, as on 31st March 2022, the balance of Mr. R, who is a creditor, is what? Let's say 5 lakhs. Okay? Auditor has sent a balance confirmation request. However, no reply is received. However, on 5th April, the company has made a payment of 5 lakhs to Mr. R. So what is this? Testing of subsequent payments in respect of trade payables to whom confirmation was rolled out but no replies was received. So subsequent to the year end, auditor can check what payments have been made. Okay? Underlying invoices check karo. These are basically what, that if no reply is received, then what can be the additional procedure the auditor can perform. He can perform what? Examination in depth. Examination in depth is checking all the documents starting from the very first stage till the end, है ना? तो आपने यहाँ purchase किया है, तो starting from the first document when the transaction started till the end, ठीक है? Auditor is going to check all the purchase transactions, ठीक है? Now with respect to related party, whether it is authorized, reasonable है, arm's length है या नहीं. Students, when we were doing essay 550, है ना, related parties, at that moment also I told you that we as an auditor, we do not have any problem or any issue with the transactions with related party. But the nature of related party transaction is such that there are chances of manipulation since the other party is known to the client. So there are higher chances of manipulation. So auditor needs to consider, apart from following the procedures that we are doing, है ना, the auditor needs to consider whether such transactions are authorized, whether they were reasonable and at arm's length. And I'm repeating here again, what is arm's length? That the price at which any of the any of the item has been purchased from any unrelated party, the client is purchasing such item from a related party at the same price. Okay? Arm's length price. Okay? And this is with respect to the various analytical procedure that trend lines, purchases, comparison of two unusual transactions है तो उसको consider करो. Now with respect to the completeness assertion, we have seen that auditor needs to consider let's say the various invoices during the last year, during last let's say 4-5 days, है ना, and during the 4-5 invoices relating to the next 4-5 days of the next year, है ना. So March के end के and April के beginning के invoices auditor can always see in order to see what cut off, है ना, कि जो purchases अगर April में account for होनी they should have been accounted for in the April month, whether they have been accounted for in April only, that is in the next year, है ना. So based on the operating cycle, auditor will consider the invoices that he needs to select. So this is also the same as we have done for what your trade receivable, okay? So as the purchases on sample basis, selecting whether correct amount आ रहा है नहीं, correct date आ रहा है नहीं. Remember, exactly same आ रहा है ना. When anything has been purchased and when it enters the factory gate, let's say, the entry must have been done in the inward register, that is at the gate entry must have been done. So match the purchase invoices dates to the gate entry inward dates to check whether the purchases are being recorded in the correct accounting period. Okay? This can include an examination of purchase expense invoices received subsequent to the period being audited to see if they relate to the period under audit. Quickly tell me, what is this assertion? Quickly, I need answers. Page number 9.66 mein, where I have marked this paragraph. What is this assertion? Correct accounting period. What is this? quickly, yes, Kanchan is correct, then Shubham is correct, Sayyed is correct. So it is what cut-off assertion, है ना? Correct accounting period में आ रहा है या नहीं, है ना? So auditor needs to consider that. So this was with respect to your purchases, trade payables. In fact, purchases का तो we will be doing later on. This is with respect to trade payables, that is creditors. And now we'll see how to verify the various expenses, है ना? So don't see, just try to imagine that you are conducting, you see, you saw that there is what, any advance is received from a customer. Okay. Now, how will you verify it? Or if I ask you that advances are there, advances received from customer, so what are the steps that come to your mind? कैसे इसको verify करोगे? Since advance has been received, it is what, a liability side item. ठीक है? Tell me, कुछ steps बताओ. Absolutely correct. कट ऑफ सबने सही बताया है. राजीव कुमार, सुधांशु, दीक्षिता, मनीषा, हिमांशु, दीक्षा, वर्षा, सुधा, भूमिका, दर्शन. बताओ. See, first of all, if I, as an auditor, I have to verify the advances received from the customer, है ना? तो पहले तो I'll obtain the list of all advances. I'll ask the management to provide me a list of all advances customer wise, है ना? किस किस customer से, because GL में तो मेरे को एक total balance, let's say I have of rupees 10 lakhs. So I'll ask the management to provide me with what, a customer wise listing, है ना? देन एजिंग स्केड्यूल कि कितना पुराना है. अगर अभी एडवांस मिला है तो ठीक है, इट विल बी एडजस्टेड. अगर 3 साल पहले मिला था अभी भी इट इज कमिंग एज एन एडवांस. सो अप्लाई प्रोफेशनल स्केप्टिसिज्म ना, व्हाट इज द रीजन. ठीक है. I'll ask the management about the nature why anything has been received as an advance, है ना? Whether it is whether such advance is outstanding beyond a reasonable time period. 6 महीने से भी पुराना हो गया, 1 year से भी पुराना आ गया. What is the reason? Is there any dispute going on? I'll inquire the management, है ना? Students, it might be possible now that there is any additional liability. अभी तो मैनेजमेंट ने एडवांस कितना दिखाया हुआ है, लेट्स से 2 lakhs with respect to creditor R. ठीक है, with respect to R, 2 lakhs advance has been received. But in the dispute, the litigation that is going on, it can be seen that 4 lakhs के लिए there is a dispute. तो कोई additional liability तो नहीं है ना? So just, try to think each and every point relating to a particular assertion, है ना? तो आपको मैंने क्या बोला था कि advances are received from customers amounting to 10 lakhs. So सबसे पहले तो what is the customer wise list? What is the aging? है ना? What is the nature of advance? Is it outstanding beyond reasonable time? How to know that? Inquire the management. Is any dispute litigation going on? How to know that? Inquire the management. Are there any chances of additional liabilities? Auditor will consider that. ठीक है? And he will verify all the documentation. ठीक है? So let us have a look at this. So a very good 3-mark question can be like, you can always get a question that you are conducting the audit of A Limited, and while perusing the liability side, you find that there are advances amounting to 20 lakhs. So what audit procedures, है ना? So advance received from customer or revenue received in advance, obtain the customer wise listing with its aging and the nature. Verify if any advances are outstanding beyond 6 months. Inquire from entities management if there has been any dispute and if there is any additional liability. For all such advances, the auditor should verify the underlying documentation based on which entity has received the advances. ठीक है, simple है, कोई doubt है? हाँ, so Darshan is saying, ma'am, in which aspect the advance has been received, that is the nature. Absolutely correct. ठीक है, ठीक है, is it clear? Now tell me with respect to you, many of you were saying, ma'am, expenses payable is also other current liabilities. So statutory dues, like let's say GST payable or the employees PF payable or let's say TDS payable. तो ये क्या liabilities है ना? Tell me audit procedures that come to your mind. ठीक है, अब और सिचुएशन में डालने के लिए लेट्स से यू आर द ऑडिटर ऑफ ए लिमिटेड एंड यू फाइंड दैट अ टोटल ऑफ 10 lakhs का statutory dues are payable. What audit procedures you are going to perform? Quickly tell me 1, 2, 3 what documents come to your mind. क्या क्या चेक कर सकते हो in order to see whether these are correct or not, whether these actually exist, whether these are complete or not. Very simple, but yes, you will have to think and write the answer in some commanded language for which you will have to go through the module. Okay, tell me, quickly send in your replies. Quickly, I'm waiting for your replies. Yes, GST returns, Darshan is saying absolutely correct. So where any statutory returns are filed, so the amount can be verified from the returns that have been filed. Darshan, absolutely correct. Others also please reply. When the taxes are paid, you are required to fill something. GST return, Chinmoy Das, absolutely correct. So with respect to PF, so Guduri Singh ma'am, number of employees, हाँ, तो अगर आपको PF rate पता है, ठीक है, and you are aware about the salary that has been given to the employee, so you can just do whether such PF payable that is coming in the financial statement, whether that is reasonable or not. That is reasonable or not. ठीक है. So you will do what? Reasonability test. Tell me, where have you done this topic? Reasonability test. You have done this topic in essay. Quickly tell me. Absolutely correct. ठीक है. अब बताओ reasonability test कहाँ पढ़ा है? Quickly, I need answers from all of you, and this will be an eye opener for you. Because you all have done this in a very recent chapter. और अगर ये, if you don't remember this, this means that you need to work hard. Reasonableness test. हाँ, वहां पे the term was reasonableness. ऐसे 520 में किया था ना, चैप्टर नंबर 8 में, reasonableness test, है ना? So it basically says that if you are aware about the about what? Your statutory dues, है ना? So if you are aware about, let's say, your purchases, your sales, है ना? You can always calculate what is the GST amount, है ना? इतना GST amount would be reasonable. If you are aware about the PF percentage and the salaries, so you can compute as to इतना TDS will, इतना PF will be what? Reasonable, ठीक है? And as I think Darshan has answered, and others also, in fact, Varsha and others also, Bhumika, that the returns, है ना? And whenever you pay taxes, challan is to be filled, so auditor can check that also. ठीक है? So let us have a look at this from the module. So this is with respect to what? Statutory dues. Again, a very good question for a 3-mark like. So in relation to statutory dues like TDS payable, GST payable, luxury tax, professional tax, ESI, PF, all these taxes. So where are we? Just a minute. Prepare a reasonability with respect to sales, purchases, employee benefit. Example, GST liability for last month may be calculating by applying the applicable rate to the sales made, and in case of variance in the GST liability recorded, reasons for variance should be requested from the client. And in case find satisfactory, the documentation should be maintained. Okay? Similarly, PF for the last month may be calculated by applying the applicable rate to the employee benefit expense. And in case of any variance, the same should be discuss with the client. अगर satisfactory reply है तो audit documentation करो, otherwise perform additional audit procedures. ठीक है? So auditor needs to obtain and verify the challans for deposits, है ना, made subsequent to the period end for all statutory liabilities. like जो आपका मार्च का liability होगा वो आप अप्रैल में पे करने वाले हो ना, या लेट्स से फेब का जो आपका liability है that you are going to pay in March, है ना, March का various liabilities will be paid by 31st March only. That is why I've changed the example. So here you need to consider the challans filled subsequently. Subsequent समझ आ गया ना? And in case of any differences, analyze the reasons, and in consultation with management आप देखो, in case of any discrepancy, perform additional audit procedures. And student, when we will be doing chapter number 10, you will see in Caro 2020 there will be a reporting requirement. So this is 10. There will be a reporting requirement with respect to statutory dues, which are disputed as well as undisputed, where the auditor is required to give certain additional reporting. So there we'll be discussing about that. So this paragraph is talking about that additional reporting requirement. Okay. So Darshan is saying analytical procedures में पढ़ा था, Guduri is also saying 520, Rajiv Kumar is also saying 520. Okay. So which is absolutely correct. So I hope this is clear. Now with respect to valuation part, है ना, सो वैल्यूएशन में अगेन व्हाट कम्स टू आवर माइंड. सो जैसे ट्रेड रिसीवेबल में यू आर सेइंग वेदर इट नीड्स टू बी रिटर्न ऑफ, तो यहाँ पर क्या होगा, रिटर्न बैक, दैट इज सच लायबिलिटीज नो लॉन्गर पेएबल, है ना. सो अगेन ऑडिटर विल ऑब्टेन व्हाट एजिंग शेड्यूल. इट माइट बी पॉसिबल दैट देयर इज सर्टेन लिटिगेशन कंपेयर इट विद द प्रीवियस ईयर. ठीक है. एंड एनीथिंग इफ इट नीड्स टू बी रिटर्न बैक इज व्हाट, जस्ट ऑपोजिट ऑफ रिटर्न ऑफ. व्हेन ट्रेड रिसीवेबल को आप राइट ऑफ करते हो तो आप क्या कहते हो, अब ये पैसा नहीं आएगा, है ना. यहाँ पर जब आप राइट बैक कर रहे हो तो आप क्या कहना चाह रहे हो, अब ये पैसा नहीं जाएगा, मतलब पेमेंट इज नॉट टू बी मेड. सो चेक दैट द राइट बैक्स इन द लायबिलिटी बैलेंस असेस्ड एज नो लॉन्गर पेएबल हैव बीन अप्रूव्ड बाय द एप्रोप्रिएट एंड ऑथराइज्ड मेंबर, फॉर एग्जांपल सीईओ और एमडी इन केस ऑफ द कंपनी. एग्जैक्टली सेम है ना. ठीक है. फर्दर अगर AS 11 के अकॉर्डिंग there is what any foreign currency trade papers, then whether that has been restated in accordance with the accounting standard 11, that is effects of changes in foreign exchange rate. Okay. So this was with respect to your verification with respect to various assertions except for disclosure part and the notes to accounts with respect to trade payables and other current liabilities left, which as many of you are saying, ma'am, please take a break. So I'll do one thing, but before taking the break, please tell me jitna bhi humne kiya hai today. We have completed PPE ka topic that was left, then we did intangible assets, which was exactly on the same lines as PPE, and then we covered trade payables, which is exactly on the same lines as trade receivables, and other current liabilities ka various assertions. Tell me, is it clear? Utna clear hai? Is there any doubt in this topic, trade payables and other current liabilities? We are left with the disclosure requirements and the notes, which we will be doing after the break. Okay. So here we will be taking a quick break of 10 minutes, but I want all of you to please reply as to whether you have understood. And many of you were saying, ma'am, is there any way to fill in the feedback forms? So some link I think you get after the end of the session, so you can fill in that Google form. Okay. Is it clear? So a quick break of 10 minutes. After that, the disclosure requirements, the notes, and then another balance sheet item. Okay. So students, I hope you all are back after the break. Kanchan, you are correct. यहाँ पे ना goods purchase कर लो इसको. So we are on page number 9.68. ना इसको change कर दो. So Bhumika, ठीक है. Bhumika is saying she wants me to explain this again, so I'll do that. ठीक है. So now see, with respect to the restatement of foreign currency trade payable, so it basically says that if any of the trade payables is in foreign currency, है ना, then as per AS 11, which is what effects of changes in foreign exchange rate. So that trade payable needs to be restated in INR, है ना. So whether the requirements of AS 11 has been met or not. ठीक है. So whose doubt was it? Bhumika, is it clear? And this point you will see that trade payable loans with respect to your trade receivables है ना, ये हर जगह ही आपको पॉइंट मिला है और हमने हर जगह ही डिस्कस किया है. भूमिका, आई होप इट इज क्लियर नाउ. ठीक है. कंचन, आई होप योर डाउट इज ऑल्सो क्लियर एंड शुभम, आई होप योर क्वेरी इज ऑल्सो रिजॉल्व नाउ. ठीक है. So now we have to do what disclosure requirements. So disclosures as is given in schedule 3 part 1 to the Companies Act. So before that, let us have a look at this point. So this disclosure requirements is with respect to what? Any of the amount which the client has to pay to MSME, micro, small and medium sized enterprises. है ना? So this the disclosure requirements that we are now discussing, it basically says that first of all, though, it says that auditor needs to understand whether management has a process to identify the amount payable to MSME, micro, small and medium sized enterprises. ठीक है. So ठीक है. So now why there is a separate disclosure requirement with respect to any amount payable to MSME? Because students, you will see that see, these are what micro, small and medium sized enterprises, and government has launched various schemes in order to promote the MSMEs, है ना. And in fact, if you will Google, you will see that there is MSME Samadhan website which was launched, whereby the MSME can directly lodge a complaint if any of the party is not making their interest payment or the principal payment, है ना. So that is why this paragraph says that if the client, that is A Limited, has any of the trade payables as what MSME, है ना, then the auditor needs to follow this process. तो क्रेडिटर्स में अगर कोई एमएसएमई कुछ अमाउंट पेएबल बनता है बाय द क्लाइंट टू वन ऑफ द एमएसएमई, then this point is applicable. So understand the management's process to identify the principal amount and the interest due, if any, remaining unpaid to any MSME, micro, small and medium sized enterprise suppliers at the end of accounting year. Test check the management process to assess if the auditor could rely on the management process. ठीक है. Now what are the disclosure requirements? So with respect to, first of all, it says that whatever is coming as trade payables should be on account of goods purchased or services received, है ना, in the normal course of business. Any other thing should not come here. Simple है ये तो. ठीक है. This is the same as we did for sales also, trade receivables. The next point, this is relating to what payments made to MSME, and there are 5 kinds of payment that has been explained. So it says that ensure whether the company has disclosed the following details relating to MSME in the notes. So micro and small enterprises. So this is talking about payments to micro and small enterprises. So who has to make this disclosure? Again, the company has to make the disclosure. So what will auditor do? He will ensure whether such disclosure has been made or not. So if any principal amount or interest is payable as at the end of accounting year. So as on the end of accounting year, that is 31st March, what interest is payable? or what principal amount is payable to MSME, auditor need to consider that. ठीक है? Then the second point says that if any interest is payable in terms of section 16 to the MSME. So we will not go in detail as such, but there is a concept of appointed date, है ना? That as on the appointed date, the interest amount is payable. If beyond that any interest that amount is not paid, then interest will be payable, and that is in terms of section 16. तो यहाँ पर आपने क्या देखा? If any principal or interest is payable at the end of the accounting year. यहाँ पर आपने क्या देखा? If any interest is payable in terms of section 16, whereby the amount is not paid beyond the appointed date. ठीक है? यहाँ पर क्या है? If any amount of interest plus any amount of interest is due and payable, ठीक है, for the delay in making payment, but without adding the interest specified under the MSME Act 2016. The next point says the amount of interest accrued and remaining unpaid at the end of each accounting year. And the last point says that if any of the further interest which is remaining unpaid beyond the year, next in the succeeding years also, then that expenditure shall be disallowed in terms of section 23 of the MSME Development Act 2006. So whether that disclosure has been made. So basically different kind of interest, different kind of principal payment, like as at the end of the year, in terms of section 15, an interest which is accrued and remaining paid at the end of accounting period. So all these payments, the company is required to give the disclosure by themselves. Any interest which is disallowed for the as a deductible expenses as per sections 823 of the MSME Act 2006, that needs to be disclosed. So we will not go in detail as such that what exactly is appointed date in this. But like basically a payment is to be made to the MSME within I think the period is 45 days, that this is the appointed date. You can check it. I think it is 45 days. So if it is not paid within that period, then beyond that period, if an interest is due, then it will come here as per section 16. So this is what is required with respect to MSME. Now trade payment. So that disclosure is with respect to payment payable to payment due to what? MSME. यहाँ पर क्या है? Trade payables, any trade payables. So again, aging schedule is required, and again this is one of the amendments in schedule 3. And students, earlier there was no aging schedule required with respect to trade payables. Trade receivables के लिए तो होता था, though that has also been changed. But earlier with respect to the trade payables, there were no aging schedule as such required. But here now the company is required to give the disclosure requirement that this is the aging schedule with respect to trade payables. तो MSME को कितना payable है, others को कितना payable है, disputed में MSME को कितना payable है, and others को disputed में others को कितना payable है. So this is basically what? Undisputed, and this is what? Disputed. Less than 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 year, and more than 3 years. ठीक है? So देखो ट्रेड पेबल की पेमेंट कितने टाइम से आउटस्टैंडिंग है. अब ये भी तो जेन्युइन, ये भी तो इट इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन फॉर द शेयर होल्डर्स और द यूजर्स ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट ना. बिकॉज अगर कोई लाइबिलिटी बहुत टाइम से आउटस्टैंडिंग है, इफ इट इज मोर देन 3 months, so the users, they must know now whether it is actually a genuine liability, है ना, whether it actually exists, है ना. ऐसा तो नहीं है that there is any dispute going on, that there is some additional liability, ऐसा तो नहीं है ना. So that is why such disclosure requirement is there with respect to the trade payables aging schedule. And again, and this is exactly the same, है ना, जो आपने trade receivables में किया. Similar information shall be given where no due date of payment is specified, and unbilled dues है that shall be disclosed separately. So this was with respect to what? Your trade payables. Now with respect to other current liabilities. ठीक है? Other current liabilities हमने कहाँ We have done long-term borrowings and short-term borrowings, है ना? So don't get confused. The way I have told you that वो जो whatever is mentioned there, है ना? If you remembered current maturities to long-term borrowings, with respect to borrowings का disclosure, that is important. Same way other current liabilities, maybe there are various line items which you may get for MCQ, है ना? या true false के लिए. So again important. ठीक है? This disclosure. So where the amount disclosed under our other current liabilities are classified as current liabilities of finance lease obligations, current maturities. So basically the amounts that are payable within the next 12 months. Current तभी तो है ना, of finance lease obligation. So these are what? Other current liabilities. Interest accrued but not due on borrowings. Interest accrued and due on borrowings. So this is also what? Other current liabilities. Income received in advance. Unpaid dividends. Okay. Then application money received for allotment of securities and due for refund and interest accrued thereon. So if any application money has been received by the company and now it is refundable and any interest is payable, so what is that? So this you can read as a homework. In case of any doubt, we can discuss it in the next session. Okay. Unpaid matured deposits and interest accrued thereon, unpaid matured debentures or interest accrued thereon, and others. Okay. So sometimes students get doubt in this: interest accrued but not due, interest accrued and due. So see, basically it means, see, interest accrued but not due, interest accrued and due. So accrued basically means it has been recorded in the books, though it is not due. And same way here means it has been recorded, though it is due. So if it, let me just explain this to you with the help of an example. So we are saying interest accrued but not due. Okay. So let's say the company on 1st April 2021 has taken a loan of, let's say, 10,000. Okay. As on 31st March 2022 and position as on 31st March 2023. Okay. So interest has been accrued, that is, let's say 1500 ka interest for 1 year, this year and then this year. Okay. So here however, this amount, this total amount of 10,000 plus 1500 plus 1500 is payable here as on 31st March. Okay. So this is what interest has been accrued here. That is, it has been recorded, though it is due for payment on 31st March. Okay. So interest accrued but not due. Why? Because this is payable together with the principal as on 31st March 2023. Okay. However, if in the same example, let's say 10,000 ka loan was taken, है ना, and on 31st March 2022, this 1500 is payable here only. So this is what accrue to hua hi hai, that is, it has been recorded. Plus it is due for payment also, that is here 10,000 plus 1500 will be paid. So it is what accrued plus due, and here it is what accrue to hua hai, but it is not due as on 31st March 2022. Is it clear? So this is the difference, and you may get, see, you can always get MCQ that which of the following is not to be included in current liabilities. So you may get 3 options out of this and 1 out of long-term borrowings, है ना? Or you may get any question with respect to true or false with respect to any of the line item. Okay. So with this, we have done what? Our topic of trade payables and other current liabilities. I hope it is clear. Quickly send in your replies. This I have given to you as a homework. बहुत simple है, आपने accounts में पढ़ा हुआ है. That is why I have given you as a homework. So just go through it and tell me, shall we proceed with the next topic, which is loans and advances and other current assets. In the next session, like before coming for the next session, I would have uploaded all the questions with respect to this chapter. So I'll request you all to, before coming for the next session, to read, to go through all those questions so that First of all, though, we'll try to take up all the questions discussed in this class. But if there is shortage of time, then I'll take up the queries part only. Okay. So quickly tell me, is it clear? Bhumika, Kanchan, are all of your doubts clear? Shall we proceed with the next topic of loans and advances and other current assets? Achha, this topic also, na, it is almost on the same lines as trade receivables. Trade receivable will be आपका asset side item है ना? And your loans advances. This is what your current asset. है ना? Loan and advances that you have given, let's say to any related party or any of the let's say security deposit that you have deposited, the company has deposited. You say I mean the company. Okay. So quickly tell me, shall we proceed? So yes, Bhumika, you are correct. You are absolutely correct in whatever you are writing. Okay. Now the next topic is loans and advances, and uske liye bhi again I'll ask you to tell me that you are conducting the audit of A Limited, and on the asset side you find that there are loans given to various parties. Given to, I want to specify here too that it is an asset totaling to, let's say, 10 lakhs. Now tell me what all documents come to your mind. Just tell me the documents. Hana? Quickly send in your replies. I'll wait for 30 seconds, then we'll proceed because today we need to complete this topic. So what was my query to you? That you are, just a minute. You are the auditor of A Limited and आपको loans मिलते हैं asset side पे, जो कि कितना है ₹10 lakhs. So documents that come to your mind to check the various assertions. So let's see your answers. So Manisha is saying we will obtain aging schedule. अब तो सबको पता चल गया how to frame the answers, है ना? Which is absolutely correct. Darshan is saying we'll obtain confirmation. इसका मेरे को ऐसे नंबर भी बता दो, ठीक है? So Manisha ने ऐसे नंबर बताया, which is correct. So who is saying? Shubham is saying मैम लोन अग्रीमेंट देखेंगे जिसमें हम इंटरेस्ट देखेंगे, which is absolutely important. बैंक स्टेटमेंट देखेंगे. Who is saying this? Kanchan, which is correct. Darshan is also saying कि अग्रीमेंट देखेंगे. Nature of loan and advance देखेंगे. Manisha is saying, Bhumika is saying loan agreement, security, yes, given by the party, absolutely given, security given by party, ठीक है. And Darshan is saying मैम ये SC 505 है, which is correct. External भूमिका भी correct है, ठीक है, absolutely correct. ये ही सब है. प्लस आपने ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स पढ़ा है ना, exactly same है. And there is one notes that is thoda sa different that we'll be doing. One note point that is additional regulatory information. That's it. So loans and advances and other current assets. ठीक है. So direct confirmation procedure with respect to the loans and advances is exactly the same, but यहाँ पर एक addition क्या आ जाएगा जो किसने बताया था? शुभम ने, कि interest amount के लिए भी हम external confirmation ले लेंगे, ठीक है. So if the auditor has to verify the existence assertion with respect to loans and advances that the company has given, and loans and advances can be given to related party also. I'm specifying here again because we have done in SA 550 की related party से कोई problem नहीं है, but reasonable हो, authorized हो, arm's length price पे हो, है ना. Apart from that, auditor will perform all the regular audit procedures that he always performs. ठीक है. So here auditor will confirm with respect to what? The interest amount also. So see, existence. For establishing existence of loans and advances, direct confirmation procedures similar to those performed for accounts receivable should be performed, with the only difference that while performing circularization of direct confirmation, that is while sending the request, in addition to the principal amount, the interest receivable, if any, as per the as per the agreed terms between the parties, may also be included along with the balance to be confirmed. Simple है, कोई doubt है नहीं है. ठीक है. Now with respect to your completeness part, ठीक है. तो देखो सिंपल सा क्विकली देखते हैं. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ऑब्टेन अ लिस्ट ऑफ ऑल एडवांसेस, है ना. आपने लिस्ट, जब भी आप लिस्ट लेते हो आप क्या करते हो, उसको जीएल से जो भी बैलेंसेस आ रहे हैं उससे कंफर्म करोगे. लोन अग्रीमेंट्स चेक करोगे. सी दीज आर द आंसर्स दैट यू ऑल हैव गिवन मी आल्सो. ठीक है. सो नाउ दिस प्रूव्स दैट यू आर इन अ पोजीशन टू थिंक इन द राइट डायरेक्शन एंड गिव द करेक्ट आंसर्स, है ना. And if you will, like we have 2 more sessions, you will see by the end of the 6th session you will be able to give exactly what is expected out of you. Exactly same answer आप दोगे, provided you have watched these sessions and you have gone through the module. फिर कोई भी item of financial statement आए, I assure you that your answer will be absolutely correct. हाँ, पढ़ना तो थोड़ा पढ़ेगा ही ना from the module and the sessions. ठीक है. So obtain list of all advances and compare them with the balances in GL, loan agreements, acknowledgements of party, है ना. So the parties may have given the acknowledgement that itna amount is outstanding, so consider that. Whether the company is authorized by memorandum and article of association to give such loans, auditor need to consider that, and it should be authorized. ऐसे थोड़ी ना accountant किसी को भी loan दे रहा. So company के केस में directors, firm के केस में partners, trust के केस में trustees, it should be channelized through what? Authorized personnel. If any loan has been sanctioned in any board meeting, then minutes of the board meeting. Inspect the security deposit. किसी ने लिखा था ना, भूमिका ने, हाँ, security deposited by the party, whether the loan is recovered regularly, है ना. In case of related party, authorized है नहीं, reasonable है नहीं, arm's length price पर है नहीं. And in case of, see, we are doing the topic loans and advances and other current assets, है ना. तो जैसे हमने other current liabilities में आपका जीएसटी पेबल देखा, यहाँ पर एसेट में क्या आ जाएगा? जीएसटी इनपुट क्रेडिट, है ना. जीएसटी इनपुट क्रेडिट और एनी बैलेंसेस विद स्टैट्यूटरी अथॉरिटीज लाइक एनी प्रीपेड टैक्स, ठीक है, और एनी ऑफ द डिपॉजिट्स विद एनी स्टैट्यूटरी अथॉरिटीज. अगेन प्रिपेयर रीजनेबिलिटी कि इतना परचेजेस है, इतना अगर जीएसटी है, देन व्हाट शुड बी द रीजनेबल जीएसटी इन केस ऑफ एनी GST input credit. In case of any variance, what is the reason? Records, return से देख लो, and amount recorded in book से देख लो. In case of any variance is there, the auditor can always discuss it with the management. ठीक है. तो देखो ये बुक में कहाँ दिया हुआ है. This is a little bit different from trade receivable because अब हम specifically किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? So advances की, या let's say यहाँ पर आप किसकी बात कर रहे हो, जैसे यहाँ पर लोन की बात हुई है, ठीक है. सो देर इज अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ डिफरेंस. और यहाँ पर किसकी बात हो रही है? स्टैट्यूटरी, अगर आपके कुछ डिपॉजिट्स हैं, ठीक है, लाइक योर जीएसटी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. ठीक है. सो ऑब्टेन अ लिस्ट ऑफ ऑल एडवांसेस एंड अदर करंट एसेट्स, कंपेयर देम विद द बैलेंसेस इन द लेजर. ठीक है. वेरीफाई लोन अग्रीमेंट्स, एक्नॉलेजमेंट्स. A loan, if material is granted only if authorized by memorandum and article. ठीक है. In addition, confirm that there is what? Competence of the persons who have advanced the same, like directors in case of the company's, partners in case of a firm, and trustees in case of a trust. Minutes of the meeting. तो देखो how to learn. यहाँ पर also you can make summaries or you may highlight like I am doing. ठीक है. Minutes of the board meeting. Verify that the loan has been acknowledged by the party. In addition, inspect the security. Ascertain if loans are recovered regularly. देखो अब ये this is giving you a bird's eye view ना as to इस point में basically है क्या. ठीक है. Related party है तो आपको क्या देखना है? Authorized. So मतलब मैं तो इसको ऐसे ही करती हूँ, रिलेटेड पार्टी है तो वेदर इट इज ऑथराइज्ड, वेदर इट इज रीजनेबल एंड वेदर इट इज एट आर्म्स लेंथ. ठीक है, so this is the way you can make summaries. ठीक है, now in case of the statutory balances with statutory authorities like GST input credit, reasonability बनाना है, like purchases है तो what is the applicable rate, this should be the GST input credit. In case of any variance, reason should be requested from the entity. ठीक है, और same way statutory returns के साथ like GST returns के साथ verify कर सकते हैं and verify whether the amount recorded as per books tallies with the claim made with the authorities. Like जो returns में आ रहा है whether that is tallying with what your booked. ठीक है, now tell me, now since you all have done the trade receivables का valuation, अब this is on the same line without looking at the module, tell me valuation कैसे करोगे. लोन आपने दिया हुआ है किसी भी पार्टी को, let's say total, ठीक है, टोटल लोन आ रहा है, लोन्स एंड एडवांसेस कितने कह रहे हैं 10 लाख. अब बताओ वैल्यूएशन में क्या कंसीडर करोगे. क्विकली सेंड इन योर रिप्लाईज एंड आई एम टेलिंग यू दिस इज एग्जैक्टली ऑन द सेम लाइंस. Quickly, I'll wait for 30 seconds, then we'll proceed. So Darshan is saying, ma'am, verify any amount to be written off as bad debt. Manisha is saying provision. Kanchan is saying interest is duly received or not. Rajiv is saying obtain aging report, check interest amount. Which is absolutely correct. हाँ. Specifically point with respect to valuation, the first point should be what? Allowance, that is provision. है ना? How management is calculating the provision, what is the method, is it consistent with last year, same ही है ना जो हमने वहां किया, consistent with last year. ठीक है, then aging report, who was saying aging report? Rajiv Kumar. ठीक है, ऑडिटर विल ऑब्टेन व्हाट? एजिंग रिपोर्ट, है ना, इन ऑर्डर टू सी हाउ ओल्ड, है ना. अब इससे रिलेटेड क्या आ जाता है कि कोई लिटिगेशन तो नहीं है, कंपेयर इट विद द प्रीवियस ईयर. ठीक है, अगर कुछ डाउटफुल है then ask management the reasons why provision has not been created, है ना. Compare the movement of bad loans and the provision, compare it with the last year. Write off कुछ करना है तो it should be approved, remember. and AS11 का, AS11 किसी ने भी नहीं लिखा, है ना. ठीक है, so let us have a look at the module. मॉड्यूल से पढ़ते हैं इसको. सी वैल्यूएशन. So assess the allowance for doubtful accounts. Review the process followed by the company to derive an allowance for doubtful accounts. This will include consistency comparison with the last year and whether the method is appropriate underlying business environment के according. Obtain an aging report, कितना old है. ठीक है, obtain the list under litigation and compare it with the previous year. Scrutinize the analysis, this analysis, like whatever analysis you're doing, and identify any loan which appear to be doubtful. Discuss with the management about the reasons as to why these are not. So this is absolutely same. ठीक है, bad loans है, advances written off है, prepare schedule of movements of bad loans, advances, provision, advances and written off. Check if any of the write-offs or other deduction in recoverable balance have been approved by authorized personnel and AS11. ठीक है, is it clear? Is it clear? Now we are left with the disclosure requirement and one of the notes with respect to loans and advances. Tell me, is it clear and are you finding it easy now? देखो, today is our 4th session. By so far you should have started finding this chapter easy now. है ना. अब आंसर्स ऑटोमेटिकली आने चाहिए आपको. ठीक है, ऐसा हो रहा है? पहले तो ये बताओ, देन विल प्रोसीड विद दिस टॉपिक फर्दर. आर यू फाइंडिंग इट इजी नाउ? अब लग रहा है कि यू विल बी एबल टू आंसर एनी क्वेश्चन दैट कम्स इन योर एग्जाम. Every one of you reply: Kanchan, Shubham, Guduri, Manisha, Darshan, Bhumika, Rajiv Kumar. And I hope I have taken the names of all the students who are Dikshita, Diksha, Bhumika, who are replying: Varsha, Jyoti, Chinmoy, Bandi, Sayyid Yasir, Komal. है ना, ऐसा फील हो रहा है हिमांशु that you will be in a position to write? So Bhumika is saying yes, ma'am. Darshan is also saying, ma'am, now easy. Manisha is saying easy. Bhumika is saying easy. That's good. And it will be very, very easy for all those who will go through the module. Okay? Now, with respect to long-term loans and advances, this is also exactly the same the way we have done the disclosure requirement with respect to trade receivables. Hana? So, ensure whether the following disclosures as required under Schedule 3 Part 1 to the Companies Act have been made. So, what is this? ठीक है. So long term loans and advances का दिया हुआ है and the disclosure of short term loans and advances. तो 4 marker question, 3 marker question can always come. ठीक है. So long term advances में क्या आ जाएगा आपके capital advances like the advances that have been given for procurement of fixed assets. है ना. Loans and advances to related parties, giving the details of the related parties and other loans and advances. So first of all, the loans and advances shall be classified into these 3 categories. Then under the above heads, it shall be given as secured, considered good, unsecured, considered good, and doubtful part. ठीक है. The above shall also be separately classified. ये same है ना, देखो, है ना. Then allowance for bad and doubtful loans and advances shall be disclosed under the relevant head separately. ये भी clear है. Loans and advances, sorry. Loans and advances due by directors or officers of the company, either severally or jointly with any other person, that shall be shown separately. And if any of the amount is due by a firm, remember I explained this to you, firm or a private company, where this director, firm में क्या होगा, partner, या यहाँ पर क्या हो सकता है, director or member, so that shall be disclosed separately. Same है ना as it is, except for this. कुछ तो डिफरेंस होगा ही ऑब्वियसली, है ना. वहां पर ट्रेड रिसीवेबल एजिंग शेड्यूल आता है, अदरवाइज ये एग्जैक्टली सेम है. सेम वे विद रिस्पेक्ट टू शॉर्ट टर्म लोन्स एंड एडवांसेस. शॉर्ट टर्म लोन्स एंड एडवांसेस शैल बी क्लासिफाइड एज लोन्स एंड एडवांसेस टू रिलेटेड पार्टीज गिविंग द डिटेल्स देयरऑफ. अब यहाँ पर कैपिटल एडवांसेस तो आएगा नहीं बिकॉज दे आर व्हाट गिवन फॉर फिक्स्ड एसेट्स. Allowance for bad and doubtful loans and advances shall be disclosed under the relevant head separately. Loans and advances by directors or other officers and amount due by firm, private companies respectively is same, exactly the same. ठीक है. ठीक है. Is it clear? So with this we have done what, verification, including with respect to all the assertions, including disclosure also with respect to loans and advances and current assets. And students, you will see that in the balance sheet now with respect to only one topic we are left, that is what, provisions and contingent liabilities, that will be starting in the next session. Abhi we are left with this note which is going to take time, Hana, and in the next session we'll start with the P&L item, and we will also discuss the MCQs depending upon the time that will be left. So that is why I'm requesting you to that by tomorrow I would have uploaded all the questions and all. Please go through those questions. So if the time will permit, we'll take up each and every question, we'll discuss each and every question. But in case of shortage of time, I'm going to take only the query part. the questions which are doubt for any of the students. ठीक है? So that is why please tomorrow check the app and upload the and download the questions that I would upload. ठीक है? Tomorrow or like maximum before coming for the next session. Like we have a session on Thursday now, no? So maybe by morning I would have done that Thursday morning. Okay. So shall we proceed further? So Kanchan is saying, ma'am, valuation part में थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है विजुअलाइज करने में. देखो जस्ट ट्राई टू इमेजिन ना कि देखो ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स हो गया आपका, है ना, आपका लोन्स आ गया. तो यहाँ पर आपका वैल्यूएशन में यू फोकस ऑन व्हाट अलाउंस पार्ट, है ना. आपका पीपीई में या इंटेंजिबल में डेप्रिसिएशन और अमोर्टाइजेशन पार्ट, है ना. AS11 फॉरेन करेंसी का रीस्टेटमेंट दैट इज ऑलवेज देयर इन वैल्यूएशन पार्ट. ट्रेड रिसीवेबल, ट्रेड पेबल्स, योर लोन्स, बोरोविंग्स में, लोन्स एडवांसेस में, है ना. तो थोड़ा सा बी स्मार्ट लर्नर, यू विल बी एबल टू विजुअलाइज, यू विल बी एबल टू easily remember the key points. ठीक है? Is it clear? Shall we proceed with the notes with respect to the loans and advances and other current liabilities, assets? And here I would also like to repeat that in case like some of you were saying, ma'am, we have the old hard copies of these modules. So please refer to the chapter that is uploaded on your BAS knowledge portal, because in this chapter there are a number of changes with respect to disclosure requirements, with respect to the notes that are given, Hana, and other changes also. So please do not refer to the earlier hard copies that many of you have. Okay. Now the next point that is left with respect to loans and advances is what? The note, which is again one of the additional regulatory information as is required by amended schedule 3 to be given by the company itself. Okay. So it basically says that following disclosure shall be made where loans or advances in the nature of the loan are granted to promoters, directors, KMP and the related parties as defined under the Companies Act 2013, either severally or jointly with any other person that are repayable on demand or without specifying any terms of or period of repayment. Okay? So a very important point. See students. So basically again the idea, first of all, try to understand why this disclosure requirement. So consider that this is a shareholder, है ना. शेयर का भी पैसा आता है, कुछ लोन भी लिया हो सकता है कंपनी ने. कहाँ आया पैसा? कंपनी के पास. कंपनी ने क्या किया? उस पैसे को किसको दे दिया? या तो प्रमोटर को दे दिया, या डायरेक्टर को, या की मैनेजरियल पर्सनल को, या रिलेटेड पार्टी को. नाउ द शेयर होल्डर मस्ट नो ना that where the funds have been moved. So basically funds का movement ही तो शेयर होल्डर्स को पता चल रहा है ना. ऐसे थोड़ी ना होगा कि लेट्स से शेयर होल्डर्स का पैसा है, या लेट्स से लोन भी लिया हुआ है कंपनी ने, है ना. So it should not happen that this company is taking loan from a bank, paying the interest, and in turn giving the funds to promoter, director, KMP of the related parties. So following disclosure shall be made where loans or advances in the nature of loan are granted to promoters, directors, KMP related parties. And the definition is as per the Companies Act, either jointly, severally, in any with any other person that are. So the first condition is what? It is given to any of these four plus and that are repayable on demand or without specifying any terms or period of repayment. So repayable of demand is what? Anytime they can be asked for. कि जब भी होगा. So as such the time period is not mentioned. Without specifying any terms or period of repayment. कोई interest नहीं पता है, कोई year नहीं पता है, 3 years का है, 5 years का है, कुछ that is not mentioned. So these two things should be there. Then the disclosure requirement is there. ठीक है? So what is there? So where any of the funds have been given to promoters, directors, KMP, related parties that are repayable on demand. That is where anytime they can be asked for. As such, the time, the term, the period of the repayment is not specified. In that case, the following disclosure is required. So type of borrower, amount of loan or advance in the nature of loan outstanding, है ना, कितना amount of loan दिया है जो कि outstanding है, and जो भी amount है, what is the percentage of this amount to total loan. So percentage to the total loans and advances in the nature of loans. What is the what is the percentage to the total loans and advances in the nature of loans. ठीक है, simple है. And what is the logic? यही logic है ना, that the shareholders or the users of the financial statement, and basically the shareholders, they should know the movement of the funds. कि कंपनी का अगर कोई पैसा कहीं जा रहा है as a loan to promoter, director, KMP related parties, that too which is repayable on demand without specifying the terms or period of repayment, then what is the amount of loan and what is the percentage of this loan to the total loan. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear, students? So this was with respect to loans and advances and your other current assets. So now I told you that we'll be left with what? Provisions and contingent liabilities. है ना? उसके बाद these are what? Your statement of profit and loss captions. That is your P&L account, your sales, purchases. है ना? And sales purchases you are going to find very easy. Why? Because trade receivables detail में क्या हुआ है, trade payables detail में क्या हुआ है, ठीक है. Same way this is with respect to purchases. Then employee benefit expense, और ऊपर क्या था, other income का topic was there. Depreciation, amortization, and this is the last topic, which is what? Other expenses like power, fuel and everything, ठीक है. So let us we won't be able to, you know, as such complete this topic provision and contingent liability, but since time is left, let me just ask you one topic, which is a test of whether you remember chapter number 3 or not. Okay, this topic I have only taken, so provisions and contingent liability. Okay, first of all, to tell me what do you understand by the term provision and contingent liability. Also send in your replies if you are aware about the relevant AS number, accounting standard. Quickly send in your replies. Just we will have a discussion. Key managerial personnel, Diksha, with respect to your doubt, KMP. Diksha, is it clear? KMP term is also defined in your Companies Act now. Diksha, is it clear? Quickly send in your replies. Provisions and contingent liabilities. Chalo, provision batao. The reserves to we have done when we were doing as a second topic in this chapter, है ना? Tell me what do you understand by the term provision? So Darshan is saying, ma'am, amount set for liabilities which may or may not happen based on future events. Manisha is saying liability which is contingent on uncertain event. Kanchan is saying provisions are made for uncertain losses or expenses which are not known before its occurrence. Bhumika is saying provisions are allocation of profit, contingent liability that can happen. Some contingency. Tell me the relevant accounting standard. Quickly send in your replies. Now, students, you have done a topic with me relating to management's expert. Tell me the relevant essay number, chapter number, though I have told you, tell me that also, the relevant essay number. And first of all, tell me these two things. Management's expert, है ना? So I'm telling you कि अभी we will not be in a position to complete as such the topic of provisions or contingent liability, but this topic is one of the important topics in this verification. This we have already covered in one chapter, so that is why I'm taking up this topic. It will take just 5-6 minutes. Tell me, where have you studied this topic of management's expert? And this is a test of basically where all of you stand, Hana? Because I always tell you that please don't follow a policy whereby you are going forward with chapters and you are just forgetting the earlier chapters. So Manisha, Bhumika, correct. So chapter number 3, essay number 500. Okay. Now tell me, what have you studied in this topic with respect to this topic, management's expert? Quickly tell me. Yes, Diksha, you are correct. Others also please send in your reply. Manisha is saying, ma'am, essay 500. Bhumika is saying chapter 3. Diksha is saying audit evidence, which is correct. Okay. So students, see why this topic we are discussing here is that when we will be discussing about provision and contingent liability, you will see that whether to make a provision with respect to a particular liability or whether to show it as a contingent liability, in order to ascertain that since management may take the service of any management expert. So management expert is whose services are you any expert in the field other than accounts and auditing, whose services are used by the company in preparation of financial statement. If you remember, we have discussed this definition, Hannah. So yes, Darshan is saying, ma'am, we as an auditor, we should obtain an understanding of the work of the management expert. Okay? Since company has used the work of this expert in preparation of the financial statement. So when we are using the work of the management expert, we need to obtain an understanding. Ab tell me, क्या understand करते थे? Obtain an understanding of work of management expert. Okay? So if you remember, yes, Jyoti, you are absolutely correct. Individual organization possessing expertise in a field other than accounting auditing, whose work in that field is been used by entity to assist the entity in preparing the financial statement. Absolutely correct, given in essay 500. Okay? Though this definition as such is not given in your module, so need not worry that like as such you are not required to learn this definition. Tell me what all understanding. So if you remember, I used to write CCO, competence, capability, objectivity, obtaining the understanding of the expert work and whether that work is appropriate for the relevant assertion. अब आपको समझ आ जाएगा because now you are aware about the topic of assertion. हाँ, correct. ठीक है. So this you have studied in chapter number 3. Now what is what is meant by, just a moment. So what is meant by competence, capability and objectivity? Okay. What is meant by obtaining an understanding of the work of the management expert and what is meant by whether that work of the management expert is relevant, is appropriate for the relevant assertion? This we will be doing. Okay. Okay. So let us have a look at the module. So Abhi, as I've told you, I'm not taking up the provision, contingent liability, the relevant accounting standard assets. So Abhi, since management may use the work of an expert with respect to provision, contingent liability, so auditor needs to obtain an understanding of the management expert. So it says that as per SA 500 audit evidence issued by ICAI, when using the work of management expert, audit evidence that the auditor should obtain include kya? Evaluate the competence, capabilities and objectivity of that expert, obtain an understanding of the work of that expert, evaluate the appropriateness of his work as audit evidence for relevant assertion. So competence, capability, objectivity अगर आपको देखना है तो आपको क्या देखना है? So whether the expert is employed by the entity or outside party, whether the expert is what? Independent. Objectivity भी तो देखना है ना? Auditor's previous experience of the work of the expert. If the auditor has worked previously with that expert, use the work of that expert earlier also. So that is also going to help in understanding the competence, capability, objectivity, and knowledge of the expert, his qualification, membership, professional body. See, let's say if you are if the management expert is a legal expert, and he is a member of the bar council, है ना, ही इज एन एडवोकेट, सॉलिसिटर फर्म्स है कोई बहुत फेमस, मेंबरशिप ऑफ अ प्रोफेशनल बॉडी है, सो ऑब्वियसली योर कॉन्फिडेंस विद रिस्पेक्ट टू यूजिंग दैट वर्क इज गोइंग टू इंक्रीज. ठीक है. ऑब्टेन एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ दैट वर्क of the expert, whether the auditor has expertise to evaluate the work of the expert. पहले तो ये देखो, evaluate the assumptions and methods used by the management, evaluate the nature of internal data, external data used by the expert. See, we have seen in chapter number 3 that internal data is more reliable or external. Remember, we have seen external is more reliable. So auditor will consider ki if that expert is using the work, first of all, whether auditor is able to, evaluate the work of the expert. If no, then in this case, auditor may hire his own expert. है ना? ठीक है. What assumptions are been used, what kind of data is been used, है ना? इसी के अकॉर्डिंग देखो, अगर इंटरनल डेटा है कि जो भी डेटा है मैनेजमेंट इज प्रोवाइडिंग टू द एक्सपर्ट, वो ही expert is giving that report only. So auditor will not rely on the management expert work ना. ठीक है. Evaluate the appropriateness of his work as audit evidence, whether it is relevance and reasonableness for the expert finding or conclusion. Evaluate the relevance, completeness, accuracy of the source data used by the expert. ठीक है. So rest we'll do later on. ये बताओ ये तीनों points clear हैं, because this is just a repetition of what we have already done in chapter number 3. हाँ, here this is in detail. ठीक है. So tell me, is it clear? So just a minute. ठीक है. So students, so I'll do one thing here. We will end the session. In the next class session, we'll start with provisions and contingent liability, and a very important topic which is this work of management expert we have covered. In case of any doubt, you can always ask me. I've covered it quickly. Why? Because this is just a repetition of what we did in chapter number 3 also. Before coming for the next session, please go through the module till page number here 9.75. We have done each and every topic without leaving any of the note or any of the disclosure or anything, and we have gone through the entire module also in the session. ठीक है. But unless and until you go through the module by your own and with concentration, and you read in between the lines, there is no use of attending these sessions. ठीक है. So please go through the modules, through the module till this page number, and also by Thursday morning I would have uploaded the questions, so go through those questions. ठीक है. Is it fine? ठीक है. So with this I'll end the session for today. See you on Thursday. Thank you. Good night.